In other news, North Korea has fired multiple ballistic missiles off its east coast, according to the South Korean military. The launch came hours before South Korea's president was due in China for talks.
South Korea's President Lee Jae-myung is meeting the Chinese leader Xi Jinping as he seeks to reset frayed ties with his country's biggest trading partner. Regional security and Beijing's unofficial ban on Korean pop culture are also on the agenda.
China has tightened controls on exports to Japan that could be used for military purposes. Tensions have risen since the Japanese Prime Minister said a Chinese attack on Taiwan could warrant military intervention.
Scientists in London are to analyse tens of thousands of bowel cancer samples that have been stored for up to a century. They're trying to work out why cases of the disease in people under 50 are rising worldwide. NASA says that it might have to bring the crew of the International Space Station home early because one of them has a medical problem. The US Space Agency said the astronaut was in a stable condition but gave no further details.
Tens of thousands of people in cities across the United States have braved cold weather to protest against immigration enforcement operations after an agent shot a woman dead in Minneapolis on Wednesday.
The Golden Globes Film and Television Awards ceremony has taken place in Los Angeles. The dark comedy film One Battle After Another won 4 prizes, including Best Director and Best Screenplay for Paul Thomas Anderson.
President of South Korea, Lee Jae-myung, is in Japan for a summit aimed at highlighting the stability of their relationship. It comes amid an ongoing diplomatic dispute between Japan and China over possible military support for Taiwan.
Japan's Prime Minister and South Korea's President have been playing the drums together in a surprising display of unity. The pair wore matching tops and tapped along to K-pop songs. Japan's Prime Minister, Sanae Takaichi, was in a heavy metal band as a student.
Rome is the latest European city to sharply reduce its speed limit as officials seek to cut pollution and improve road safety. Drivers in large parts of the Italian capital will be restricted to 30 kilometres an hour.
President Trump says he'll impose 10% tariffs on 8 European countries, including Germany, France and Britain, which are opposed to his plan to take over Greenland. These would come into force 2 weeks from now and stay in place until a deal is reached. They'd go up to 25% from June.
Japan's Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi has announced she will dissolve Parliament on Friday to pave the way for a snap general election on February the 8th. She's hoping to secure a stronger mandate to advance her policy agenda.
The lower house of Australia's Parliament has voted to approve a national gun buyback programme and institute new checks on firearm licence applications. The move comes a month after the deadly shooting at Bondi Beach. South Korea's President Lee Jae-myung says the North is producing enough nuclear material each year to arm about 20 warheads. He also warned that Pyongyang was improving its long-range ballistic missile technology. The lower house of Australia's Parliament has voted to approve a national gun buyback programme and institute new checks on firearm licence applications. The move comes a month after the deadly shooting at Bondi Beach. South Korea's President Lee Jae-myung says the North is producing enough nuclear material each year to arm about 20 warheads. He also warned that Pyongyang was improving its long-range ballistic missile technology.
Japan suspended the restart of the world's largest nuclear power plant after an alarm from its monitoring system sounded just hours after the process began. The operator of the Fukushima plant said there was no safety risk.
The first three-way peace talks between Russia, Ukraine and the United States have ended without a breakthrough. They were hosted in Abu Dhabi. President Zelensky indicated more discussions could be held next week.
The European Union's energy chief has hailed a new agreement on sharing power from renewable sources. They say building offshore wind farms in the North Sea will help ending dependency on Russia.
President Trump has announced an increase in US tariffs to South Korea from 15% to 25%. He accused Seoul of failing to live up to a trade deal signed last year.
South Korea's former First Lady, Kim Gun-hee, has been sentenced to 20 months in prison for bribery. Kim, who's the wife of the ousted president Yoon Suk-yeol, was found guilty of taking luxury gifts from the Unification Church in exchange for political favours.
Scientists from Britain and South Korea have set up camp on the Thwaites Glacier in Antarctica. They'll use hot water to drill a kilometre down through the ice to measure ocean temperatures and currents. They're trying to assess the impact on sea levels as the vast glacier melts.
시청해 주셔서 감사합니다. 다음 시간에 뵙겠습니다.